We discussed the Bohr's model, atomic model, and we have discussed here that the electron, if it is moving in a particular orbit or a particular shell, it is not going to release the energy, lose or gain the energy by itself until unless it is disturbed, right? So that means the energy of the electron's energy is going to be quantized. Now we are going to discuss about the merits or the successes of the Bohr's model. It means that what it is able to explain. The first is it is able to explain the stability of the atom. That why the atom is stable. Now just as I said now that the electron energy is quantized when it is moving in a particular shell. That means it is not going to lose or gain the energy until and unless it is being provided from the outside or disturbed from outside. That means this inside the atom, right? The electrons will be moving in a particular shell. The atom is going to be stable, right? The second, it is able to explain or it is able to find out the energy related with a particular orbit, right? So you can see here that we have given the formula here that the n here shows tell us about the shell number. So the energy related with a particular shell is given by the formula minus 2 pi square me4 raised to power 4 upon n square h square. So student, here 2 is a constant, pi is a constant, m here is the mass of the electron and E is the charge of the electron, right? And n is the shell number and h, you know, it's the Planck's constant, right? When putting the values of these, we will get that energy of a particular shell will be equal to minus 21.8 into 10 raised to power minus 19 upon n square joule per atom. Now if we are representing this energy in terms of the kilojoule per mole, right? We will just get it here equals to minus 13.6 upon n square electron volt per atom, and finally we are getting minus 1312, that is 1312 upon n square kilojoule per mole. Generally this formula is mole is being used, right? So here the En equals to minus 1312 upon n square kilojoule per mole, where n here stands for the shell number. Students, here a question can come in your mind that why here we are putting the negative sign, right? That why the energy of the electron is indicated by negative sign. Now student, here the Bohr has assumed that if we assume that any electron which is present at the infinite distance, right, that it is far away from the approach of the nucleus, right? It is outside the atom, it is far away. We will just it is at the infinite distance from the nucleus. At that time, the energy, or we can say the force of attraction which is getting from the nucleus will be zero, right? Now when the electron starts coming near to the nucleus, what will happen? It will just experience the force of attraction. Now its energy was already zero, right? Whenever the force of attraction is applied, what happens? The energy gets liberated out, right? So here it is assumed that when an electron is already having a zero force of attraction and energy at that time is zero, and now it starts getting the force of attraction, the energy will be liberated out, right? The energy is going to lower down. So how much it is going, it will get the negative value then. So that's why as closer the electron will come near to the nucleus, it will start releasing the energy out. So releasing of energy is shown by the negative sign, right? So here we can say that the electron, or we can say it is a nucleus here, right? Now let it be the infinite distance. So when it is present in infinite distance, that time the force of attraction will be zero here. So the energy associated will be also zero with the electron with respect for the nucleus here. Now when it will start coming closer to the nucleus, right, then what will happen? It will experience the force of attraction and the energy is going to liberate out, and the energy will be in term of negative. Now if we take here K, L, M and N shell, so the energy associated with N shell will be less negative than the energy associated with M, L and K. Right students? So can you tell that which shell is going to have the lowest energy? Here the lowest energy will be of K shell. So I am writing it in this way. N1, that is, or we can say that K, it has got the lowest energy. Then L will be little higher, M will be little higher. Right? That means the shell or the electron, when it is present closer to the nucleus, that means it has experienced maximum force of attraction. Right? That's why it is closer to the nucleus, and at that time it has released maximum of the energy. So the energy associated with it is going to be less. So it has got the lower energy. So when it will at L shell compared to the K shell, the electron at L shell will experience less force of attraction, hence more energy will be associated with it. So in the same way, as we move away from the nucleus, right, the energy is going to increase. Though it is in a negative form, but it will going to increase here. So N is going to have the energy more with respect or with compared to the K shell. The Bohr's postulate help us to derive the expression for the radius of a particular orbit in the hydrogen atom and as well as in the hydrogen-like atoms or species. Now you can see here that for finding out the radius of a particular orbit, right? Here Rn, again here n denotes the shell number. Rn equals to a naught n square. Now here again n is the shell number, so n is the shell number, or we can say the energy level, right? And a naught here, this is 52.9 picometer, which is the radius of the first shell. Now for the hydrogen like particle, this is for the hydrogen atom, right? Here we have got the shell number 1. But for the hydrogen like particles, right, where Rn, that is the radius of a particular orbit, will be determined by the formula a naught n square upon z. Formula is same, but here we are just getting it divided by the Z. Z here stands for the atomic number of the hydrogen-like particle. Now let us take example of helium ion here. So helium is the hydrogen-like species. Why? Because it has got the 1 electron. Atomic number of helium is 2. Z equals to 2. So how it is hydrogen-like particle? Because after losing 1 electron, its number of electron will be 1. Similarly, lithium ion is the hydrogen-like particle. Why? Because after losing the 2 electron, atomic number is 3. So when it will lose the 2 electron, how many electrons will be left? It will be 1. So it will be just like the hydrogen atom, which has got the 1 electron in its, we can say, in the atom. Right? So these are the hydrogen-like species. So here Z equals to 2. So you will, for finding out a particular radius of a particular shell or the orbit, right, you will put here the shell number, and here will be the atomic number of the hydrogen-like particle. Yes, so today we have discussed about the 3 merits. The first is the stability of atom. Second is that we can find out with the help of the Bohr's postulate, we can find out the energy associated with a particular orbit. And third is we can determine the radius of the particular orbit. Now we are left with the explanation for the line spectra of the hydrogen atom, that we will discuss later. Bohr was able to find out the value, or we can derive the relation of the energy which will be required for the transition from one shell to another shell, as well as determine the frequency and the wave number. Right? Now if an electron is assumed to be in a shell Ni or in the ground state, now Ni is indicating here the initial ground state, right? It shows this transition, right, to NF, that is the final ground state of it, the excited state. So that time the energy of the initial state and that of the final state, we know from it that we can get it, and then we are going to deduce the how much amount of energy it has absorbed for this transition, that will be delta E, and that delta E will be equal to the energy of the final state minus that of the energy of the initial state. So just have a look here on the board, that delta E, that is responsible for showing the transition from the initial state to the final state. The energy which will be absorbed will be equal to delta E, and that is EF minus EI, that is energy associated with the final state and energy associated with the initial state. So when you will put the formula for the energy of the final state, it is minus 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 joule per atom upon the energy level Nf square, right? Minus initial energy minus 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 joule per atom upon N square. This is of the initial energy state, right? So when we just solve it out, we'll get 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 upon 1 upon Ni square minus 1 upon Nf square joule per atom. So this was the, we can say, the calculation for the energy which will be required for the transition from between the two energy levels. So by knowing the value of the initial state and the final state, we can determine the energy which will be required for the transition per atom. Now students, from the Planck's quantum theory, we know that delta E or the energy is equal to h nu. So delta E that is required for the transition will be also equal to h nu, right? When nu is the frequency, h is the Planck's constant. So nu will be equal to, because we want to now determine the frequency, it will be equal to delta E upon h, right? So nu equals to delta E is 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square. So student, here I have just replaced initial state by 1 and the final state by 2. So ni square, or you want, you can keep it ni and nf also. So n1 square minus n2 square upon the Planck's constant value 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 13 minus 34 joule second. Right? On solving out this, right, we will get the frequency to be nu equals to 3.29 into 10 to the power 15 within bracket 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square second inverse, right? This is the frequency of the radiation, right, which will be related with each transition on each spectral line. Now the wave number, right, it is here equal frequency upon the speed of light. So we are getting here, we will put the value of the frequency here. The speed of light is 310 to the power 10 centimeter second inverse, right? After putting this value and solving out, we will get wave number equals to 109677 within bracket 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square centimeter inverse. Now here you can see it is just in relation with the, we are getting the same value as from the Rydberg equation which we got, where 109677 is a Rydberg constant. So here this is the success of the, we can say the achievement or the merit of the Bose model, that it could explain the spectral line not only but also the energy related energy as well as the frequency and the wave number, or we can say the wavelength associated with each transition. Though there are achievements or the merits related with the Bose model of atom, yet it was not able to explain a few of the, we can say, the characteristics which were obtained or which were observed later on, right? So first is that it was able to, though it was able to explain the spectrum of hydrogen and hydrogen-like species which has got only one electron, right? But for the species or the atom which has got more than one electron, it was not able to explain the spectrum obtained for these kind of atoms. Even it was not able to explain the spectrum of the hydrogen itself when it was observed at high resolution, that why we were getting for each spectral line there were two more lines were associated with it. So on high resolution it was even not able to explain the hydrogen spectrum, right? Second, it was not able to explain that why the splitting of the spectral lines takes place when the hydrogen spectrum is obtained in the influence of the magnetic field. This effect is known, the effect of the magnetic field caused on the spectral line. And what is the effect? The splitting of the spectral lines. It was not able to explain this effect, which is known as Zeeman effect. And even it was not able to explain the Stark effect, which is same but it is in the influence of the electric field. So under the influence of the electric field, the spectral lines is further splitted down, right? It was, this effect is known as Stark effect. It was not able to explain it also. Third, it was not able to explain the de Broglie's wave nature concept, that the particle, just as a wave can have a particle nature, so a particle can also have a wave nature. It was not able to explain the de Broglie's wave concept, dual nature of the particle. Next is that meanwhile Heisenberg uncertainty principle was also there, and which assumes that no electron or no microscopic object can have the exact position and the momentum can be calculated simultaneously, right? So this assumes that the particle has got the wave nature, whereas the Bohr model has assumed completely that the electron has got a particle nature. So big blow to the Bohr model was given by the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. And one more of the demerits, or we can say the limitation of Bohr model, is that it could not explain the shape of the molecules of a substance or a compound, right? So just in a quick, I'm just mentioning over here that the limitation of Bohr's model, first, it couldn't explain the spectrum of atom having more than one electron, right? Even at high resolution, splitting of spectral line of hydrogen could not be explained. Second is, it failed to explain Zeeman effect and Stark effect, right? Zeeman effect, splitting of the spectral line under the influence of the magnetic field. Here, the Stark effect, the splitting of the spectral line under the influence of the electric field, right, is known as a Stark effect. It could not explain it. Third, it failed to explain dual behavior of particle, that is, if a wave can behave, right, if a wave can behave as a particle, so what particle can also behave as a wave or can show the wave characteristics, and was given by the same field to explain the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which considers that the electron has got the wave characteristic along with the particle characteristics, and it was a big blow. Heisenberg uncertainty principle was a big blow to the Bohr model, which only considers the electron to be having a particle nature. And the fifth is, could not explain the shape of molecules, right? So these were the limitation of the Bohr model. So we have discussed the Bohr model, we have discussed the successes of the Bohr model and the limitation of the Bohr model. So go through these very nicely.